Hello, I'm Adam, and welcome to another edition of Quantum Insights. And today we're going to explore a bit of the mystery surrounding divination. Have you ever been curious about divination? Well, exactly what is divination? And divination is a nonlinear process of accessing the greater totality of who you are. In other words, when we think only from a linear, left brain, rational, kind of analytical mindset, we often screen out or we're unable to see the more multi-dimensional nature of who we are in body, mind, spirit, and soul. So divination is really an ancient tool that's been around for many, many years. And it was used primarily by indigenous cultures, well, of all of the globe, but it came both from Eastern and Western traditions. We have the Kabbalah, we have the Mayan cosmology, we have various forms of astrology, we have the I Ching, the Eastern traditions, we have the runes, we have numerology. So there are many different forms of divination systems. And the whole idea here is to really allow a new way to explore the totality of who we are as human beings and what our potential is. And divination offers us tools to do that. It does that in a way that is about, well, not just numbers like numerology, but it does it in a way that utilizes archetypes. It looks at symbols, and that could be architecture, that could be a circle, that could be a square. It looks at archetypes, even an archetype as a man or a woman or the sun or the moon or any other number of types of archetypes. It looks at colors. It looks at, well, energy in general. So in other words, it's another way of kind of looking into the microscope of who you are and exploring just who are we and what is our potential? Because the life that we see here in our 3D reality is really just a figment of our multi-dimensional nature in a 5D experience or more. So let's dive a little bit more deeper into divination. And before I do that, I do want to reference that divination has been long frowned upon by our religious institutions. And they have often referred to divination as evil or devil worship or blasphemy for that matter. So divination is a tool that is not used by established institutions because if they allow you to experience divination, essentially they're disintermediating themselves. In other words, divination gives you direct access to spirit and the world that is far vast beyond what we see and experience in our five sensory reality. So religious institutions frown on the use of divination because essentially when you experience this, you're, well, putting them out of a job. And that means maybe out of their source of livelihood. So oftentimes you will hear things that are really misleading about divination. Don't fall for it because there are numerous divination systems that can help you explore this multidimensional, this 5D human that you are and that you can experience more fully. Even as we're speaking, the curiosity is stepping you into this multidimensional nature. Albert Einstein once said, "Life is a mystery to be experienced, not a problem to be solved." Well, that's not to say that there's anything wrong with problem resolution. Obviously, we live in a world that's been based upon problem resolution. And it's done a whole lot of good. But one of the things we're talking about here is really embracing the greater totality of who we are. Instead of the little you, it's the big you. It's the you that's connected to the universe, the quantum field, into a place of greater synchronicity, of wholeness, of synergy, of all those things that help you to become a powerful creator, a co-creator in your life. So the idea of the mystery to be experienced that Einstein is talking about is exactly the purpose of divination. That's what it's all about, is stepping into the mystery, because divination is like going through a portal, like through a gateway into a whole nother dimension and a whole nother reality. Well, here's the challenge with that. Here's the challenge, folks, because we're adverse to stepping into the unknown, and we actually fear the unknown. And when we really think about it, it's not the unknown that we fear, because we don't know what it is. So you can't fear what you don't know. But we fear the idea that it's unknown. So I want to encourage you, as you begin to explore the divination, the greater totality, the multi-dimensional nature of who you are, to discover your greater and deeper and truest gifts, your genius, so to speak. I want to encourage you to step into the mystery. And not only do religious institutions and our societal norms, poo-poo divination, or say, oh, well, it really doesn't mean much. It's misunderstood from another perspective, because we often think it's about making predictions. It's about making predictions with our perception. It's not about making predictions through our perceptual reality. It's really about gaining insights into our greater intuitive nature and connection to the deeper truth of who we are and the deeper truth of our connection to the universe. So those insights that come through a divinating experience, and which you can actually do yourself, or obviously there are more resources than ever out there. There are lots of apps, lots of great teachers doing really things. They're not all feathers and rattlers and old hippies or any of this. They're just people that are really connected to these powerful systems of wisdom, Eastern and Western traditions. And there's new forms of divination coming forward. Human design, for example. Richard Rudd's put together something called the Gene Keys, another form of human design. So this is the idea of stepping into the mystery, because it's really about those insights that you want to build. It's about exercising that intuitive muscle within you that allows you to really lean into what is going on in your life, not just think about it or analyze it or be in fear, but to feel the depth and the totality of who you are as a multi-sensory human being. This is the next level of being human. This is 5D human. This is the 5-dimensional human. And in my next quantum insight, I'm going to talk about 3D human versus 5D human. What is it like to become a 5D human? How can you do that? But for now, we're talking about divination and what that can do for you. Because ultimately, the idea is to unlock the hidden memory within you that holds you back from your greatest potential. That's what insights do. That's what intuition does. And divination is a powerful tool to help you unlock your genius and unleash it so that you can live a life of your greatest dreams. Over the years, I've studied and experienced many forms of divination, but two really resonated more deeply with me, and I practice them on a regular basis. And practice may not be exactly the right word, but divination is a practice, actually, because it involves sitting and reflecting and resonating, thinking about maybe power animals, thinking about colors, thinking about specific words like discernment or sword of truth, or feelings around the moon that invoke our deeper emotional nature. So it's very reflective in its nature, and that is a practice. So to get out of that old linear analytical kind of left brain of mine, I've just done just that, to spend time practicing, well, every day. And the I Ching and the Mayan cosmology are the two that I practice on a continuous basis. The I Ching, because it really helps me during points where I'm at a choice point. I'm at an intersection, which way to go in life. It's simple, it's powerful, and it asks for a greater attunement with the sage. The sage within you that's connected to the sage that really functions within the true nature of all of reality. It makes everything work harmonically, in balance, in equanimity, because ultimately that is the place where we want to be. When we're not in balance, then we're actually finding ourselves in ego, in need, in want, in desire. And that leads us down a path that ultimately does not work. It creates conflict and chaos, and we just have to go learn the lesson again. But the idea of the I Ching is to practice patience, to be, well, not only simply sensible about your life, but to get in the flow of how your life is going and what is most supportive of your next steps. I love the Mayan cosmology as well because it's colorful. It's very dynamic. It works with all kinds of archetypes. It too is a proven system that really overlays time frames over the millennial, the repetition of patterns that exist within all form. And it expresses a more intuitive nature of ourselves from a frequency and an energetic perspective, but also from an archetypal perspective. It may be resonant to being, well, for example, having a transformative power that I do, which is death and rebirth. It may be involved with being a higher seeing or seeing a greater, wider vision, like the eagle. It may be involved in simple things like really being of greater service or a connection with ancient wisdom keepers. It may be involved with your past and your future. And speaking of past and future and present, that was my primary objective with divination, is to really to begin to be a co-creator of my destiny. In other words, some time ago when I first got on the path and began to explore these various modalities, I asked myself, can I get out of this lifetime alive? And I was determined to figure out the answer to that. I was determined to not live a life of fate that was subject to, well, an imprint of a parent or an ancestor, subject to a culture that wants us to live by a status quo. I didn't want to live a life that way. And I knew that humans, all of us, have a tendency to live according to our past. What we do today is based on our past. How we think about our life is based on our imprinting, social, cultural, parental imprinting. And in order to get beyond that fate, not only from an intellectual perspective, a thinking perspective, but to get beyond that from a physical perspective, a wellness, a health perspective, to change your environment, to live in a place, in an environment that's most conducive for your life being in a place of creating destiny, you must step beyond the life of fate. And divination allows you to do that because, again, it offers you that intuitive, that deeper knowing insights as to the greater possibility of how it really all works and functions in equanimity, in balance. And the Mayan cosmology has been great for that. All of them offer many, many profound insights and deep wisdom. This is really not about learning something and gaining information. It's more about actually unlearning the old system to gain a new system of thinking, a new way of a mindset that's multidimensional, the one that unlocks your genius that I was sharing with you. It sets you free from the limitations of who we are. So it's really about, do you want to break free of the old? Do you want to be radically new? Do you want to feel most alive in your passion and what brings you the greatest joy? Then it's about becoming a five-dimensional human, a multi-dimensional human, to have an experience that is so profound in sense of joy and connection and also finding a deep peace. And divination and divination systems help to do that. So I hope this little piece on divination has been helpful to you. If you find any of these quantum insights interesting or you want to experience more of them, hit the subscribe button here in my YouTube channel, and we'll be sharing more and more of these deep quantum insights with you as we go forward. All right, next up, I'm going to do something on the 5D human, becoming a 5D human, and what does that mean to be a 5D human? Because ultimately, it's time. The earth changes are calling us to become more of who we totally are as in our multi-dimensional selves. Because without that, well, we're going to miss the boat. And you don't want to miss the boat because ultimately, well, that may just be the ultimate demise of our planet. So we must come together in this greater totality. So join me, subscribe here, and look forward to our next insight. Take care.